Good morning and welcome to Frank's School, 7th year, 134th day, first video. I'm going on with Smitten. I want you to just watch a little tiny bit today, just up to 1746, and then I'd like you to stop. I do not intend to go in such detail as I'm going right now, but there are things I want to show. First of all, I think at this point where you start, the camera work and the soundtrack both, but they both become more inspired, it seems to me. Now, maybe that was on purpose, probably it was, I don't know, but I get this distinct feeling that the director, and Barry can let me know if it was true, he was much happier and more comfortable doing this movie in piano, in the Alps, in the movie. He was freer to relax and set his camera up the way he wanted. It just feels differently, as it really should for the purpose of the movie too, because you end up coming away thinking that the pastoral setting is a better place to be all around. Anyway, I think I notice a difference. The soundtrack becomes noticeable. Before it was there, but now it's actually working more, I think. All right, so anyway, that's my suspicion that, my suspicion is that Barry actually felt that way. He'll tell me, I'm sure. All right, Chetto's phone. He wakes up. Now, all of them have under this spell, which you have to figure out that it's a spell that they're going to fall in love with the first living thing that they see. And he comes out. His phone doesn't work. He throws it down, and then he sees a woman washing her clothes or something down there at the creek. And humor comes on here too, which I suspect was intentional. What he sees about the woman first is her butt. She's in that awkward, strange position, and he's looking at her butt. But he sees her face too. Anyway, he is struck, and this is the most beautiful woman he's ever seen, he thinks. And I think the camera zooms into him when he has that realization, and then he chases her. I think her name maybe is Felicia, or else Senora Vona. We don't know her name yet. Then Bombo, he comes out, and he looks at the beauty of the Alps as he comes out, and he says, "Mamma mia!" But then he sees Rocco, this guy, bare-chested, riding this white horse coming down through, and the camera does that zoom in, and once again, "Mamma mia!" He's brushing his teeth. You'd see all this stuff, I think, but I want to point out that the camera is doing that. Twice. Then Aldo wakes up, and I might have these two confused, but I don't think so. Aldo, I listened many times to see if this was really true, but when he gets up, he's holding his stomach. There's a fart on the soundtrack, I think. It's not very obvious, but if I had kids in the class, I'd pause and I'd say, "Did you hear that?" And I think they probably would. The bassoon now, I'm jumping here, but the bassoon is active in the soundtrack, and bassoons are almost always useful when you want to get a gentle humorous effect. He sees, I think the cow's name is Mulu. He sees a cow, and he falls in love with the cow. It's the first living thing, not necessarily the first person. You see all this. Then Tyler does this amazing stunt. Now, of course, it's not Tyler, or it's not the actor. It's a stunt man, and there's really only that stunt and falling off the ladder, which you've already seen. Those are really the only two stunts I can think of in the movie. Goes down, crashes into Rosalia's cart. You don't know her name yet, but I'm telling you. When you see Rosalia, you see her goat, and you also see her boots. And I keep saying, I think that was an intentional theme put in there. Tyler, as he's going down, riding down, not on purpose, in that cart, you see him with the soles of his shoes first. I'm not going to mention it. I don't think I'm going to mention it every time, but I will sometimes when it's purposely a theme throughout this, because remember, the point of going to Milan was to shop for real fashionable boots. At 7:21, I'd like you to pause if you could. See, when I'm teaching, I can pause right where I want to, and I've got my classroom, because I would stop and look at that building, quite aside from the story. It's built out of new wood. That's a new building, and you can see how beautiful it is. It's not painted. It's one of the things that makes, in my mind, Alpine beauties of the domestic architecture what it is because they don't paint wood. Wood does not need to be painted as long as it's kept dry. And the eaves extend way out so it keeps dry. The one porch, you can see a little bit that it's weathered on there. I had suspected that maybe that building was built for the purpose of the movie because they needed it or something. But with that weathering, I don't know. Whether or not, that's the way those buildings would look before the sun got to them. All right, so pause for that. And then at 1743, if right there, I'd ask you to pause as well, because to me, that's a real vision of beauty right there. You've got the Alps. You've got the fountain, woman, donkey, or in this order from your perspective. And the woman is supposed, in the movie, the woman is supposed to be an ugly woman. Well, you know, I think Barry was gentle with that on purpose, because in fact, she's not an ugly woman, but she's made to look like that. Anyway, it's kind of like a vision of beauty to me. If you could just pause and just look at it, I can see that as a still hanging on my wall. And then again, 1746, exactly. If you'll pause, this is when Chetto has, I think it's when Chetto has seen that vision of beauty, yes. And pause to look at that stonework. These are the kind of details I love if the movie's set in the right place. Bye for now.